Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are unpacking one of the most stunning, emotionally charged storylines to hit the National League West in years.
Absolutely. I mean, we're looking at a story that truly sounds like a rejected Hollywood script because it's almost too crazy to be real. Think about it. A two-time World Series champion, a Dodgers legend who literally recorded the final out of the 2024 World Series, and then, suddenly, he crosses enemy lines to pitch for the team Los Angeles arguably hates the most. We are talking about Walker Buehler and his unbelievable path from LA hero to San Diego Padre.
Right, and let's get right into this, because this isn't just about a player changing jerseys in the offseason. It's about vengeance, it's about massive mechanical adjustments, and it's about a fierce rivalry reaching an absolute boiling point.
So here is our roadmap for today's Explainer. First, a shocking betrayal. Second, the I-5 Rivalry.
Then we'll hit Chapter 3, The Fall from Grace, followed by Rebuilding the Machine, and finally, Chapter 5, The Ultimate Revenge. Let's get to it.
All right, Chapter 1, A Shocking Betrayal. To really understand this sense of betrayal, you have to remember who this guy was in LA. He was Big Game Buehler. He was the guy on the mound securing the save in Game 5 of the 2024 World Series. They completely trusted him when everything was on the line. So when he suddenly signed a minor league deal in San Diego, this quote captures the exact mood in Los Angeles perfectly. It was a mix of sadness, outrage, disgust, and maybe a little bit of pity. A minor league deal with the Dodgers' sworn enemies.
Outrage and disgust. That really hits the nail on the head. For Dodgers fans, seeing him agree to a minor league contract in San Diego wasn't just, a former player finding a new job. It felt like a direct insult. They had to sit there and digest the thought of their former ace potentially figuring out his mechanics and helping the team they absolutely despise the most.
Exactly. And the fact that he was fighting for a rotation spot alongside guys like Michael King and Joe Musgrove and ultimately winning it, that just rubs salt in the wound for LA.
Moving on to Chapter 2, the I-5 Rivalry.
So to understand why this specific team swap is viewed as so completely traitorous, you really look no further than this number, 120. That is the mere 120 miles separating Los Angeles and San Diego, straight down Interstate 5.
Yeah, and for the longest time, Dodger fans just brushed the Padres off as the annoying little brother, right? They saved all their real hate for the Giants. But that geographic proximity breeds a really bitter economic and cultural rivalry. You have the massive footprint of Southern California, sports franchises moving back and forth. Remember, the Chargers and Clippers both left San Diego for LA. So when Padres fans passionately embrace that Beat LA chant, it comes from a very real, deep-seated regional frustration.
For sure. And while LA dominated historically, San Diego's front office got incredibly aggressive this decade. They completely stopped playing that little brother role and just started building a heavyweight roster to directly challenge the Dodgers. And this rivalry isn't just geography anymore. It's a modern heavyweight clash on the field. Look at this recent postseason history. They met in the National League Division Series 3 times in 5 years. That is intense.
It really is. In 2020, the Dodgers swept them on their way to a World Series. But in 2022, the Padres completely flipped the script and knocked a heavily favored Dodgers team out 3-1. Then, in 2024, it was just an absolute war. The Padres took a 2-1 series lead before the Dodgers came back to win in 5 games and again went on their way to a World Series title.
So the crucial takeaway here is that this rivalry isn't just manufactured media hype anymore. It is built on intense, recent, extremely high-stakes playoff baseball. When Buehler crossed that 120-mile divide, he wasn't just changing teams. He was walking directly into a war zone.
Which brings us to Chapter 3, the Fall from Grace.
It really is staggering how fast a pitcher's trajectory can just plummet. We are talking about a guy who was a legitimate Cy Young candidate not that long ago, suddenly forced to rebuild his entire career from scratch. This timeline is just chaotic. October 2024, he is on top of the world, closes out the Yankees, wins the championship. The very next year, 2025, he signs a huge 1-year free agent deal with the Boston Red Sox for over $21 million.
And it was an absolute disaster. He posts an ERA near 5.5. The Red Sox literally move him to the bullpen in August before just throwing up their hands and releasing him outright. Then he gets picked up by the Phillies on a minor league deal, manages to reach 10 wins for the season, but still finishes with a really poor 4.93 ERA.
Yeah, the underlying numbers just weren't good at all. He became a free agent again going into 2026, and crickets. Literally no major league offers.
He finally signs a minor league contract with San Diego in February, just trying to win a spot in spring training. What a massive drop-off. I mean, going from closing the World Series to desperately seeking a spring training invite, it's just mind-blowing.
So the big question is, how did we get from a World Series hero to begging for a minor league invite? Well, right after that 2024 World Series, the Dodgers essentially offered him something very similar to the standard $21 million qualifying offer.
Which sounds great, right? A guaranteed $21 million. But here is the catch that completely ended their relationship. The Dodgers included a stipulation. They wanted a physical to look at his hip, and Buehler was deeply, deeply offended by this. He felt that after everything he had bled for that franchise, including coming back from a second Tommy John surgery, they should be talking to him on the phone, man to man, not communicating through agents with medical stipulations.
He took it incredibly personally. He walked away, took that money in Boston, failed, and then found himself taking a massive financial and ego hit, a minor league contract with a $1.5 million base salary with the Padres. The Dodgers demanding that physical accidentally set this entire epic revenge arc into motion. All right, Chapter 4, Rebuilding the Machine. Now, a revenge arc is only good if the player can actually bounce back. Because, let's be totally honest, in Boston and Philly, Buehler's velocity was down, his command was completely gone, and he looked like a pitcher whose arms simply couldn't hold up anymore. Which leads us to the central, fascinating mystery. Where did the 5-mile-per-hour velocity come from? Because in his return to Boston earlier in the 2026 season, his fastball was sitting around a really sluggish 91 mile per hour. But just 11 days later, against Seattle, he was suddenly touching 96 miles per hour.
Right, a 5-mile-per-hour jump in less than 2 weeks at the major league level is almost unheard of. You don't just find that kind of heat lying around in the dugout. It requires a fundamental, complete mechanical sync-up.
And here is exactly how they did it. The Padres pitching coaches Ruben Niebla and Chris Apicea got in the lab with him. Buehler credited specific drill work they implemented to recreate the feels of his pre-surgery delivery.
The absolutely crucial point here is step 2, getting the elbow out in front. Buehler noted that after 2 Tommy John surgeries, your body subconsciously tries to protect itself from pain. It's a survival instinct. But by getting his elbow out in front, he finally felt safer.
Which completely unlocked step 3. Instead of just kind of flicking the ball with his wrist to protect that vulnerable elbow, he was finally comfortable launching with his whole arm again. He even said he actually has better command when he's trying to make 95% throws, rather than trying to aim the ball at lower, safer speeds. He's synced his entire body back up perfectly. But as we know, pure velocity isn't everything in today's game. A massive key to his success was induced vertical break, or IVB. Now, for those who aren't familiar, IVB is basically the illusion of a rising fastball. It's created by the pitcher's extension and spin rate, making the pitch appear much, much faster to the hitter than the radar gun actually says.
Exactly. So even when his fastball was sitting at, say, 92 miles per hour early in the spring, the data showed he was getting 6.3 feet of extension toward home plate. That is massive. That extension, combined with the shape of the pitch, means that to the batter, that 92-mile-per-hour pitch feels like it's exploding up in the zone.
But here's the really brilliant part. The fastball was really just setting up his secondary stuff. Look at this. His fastball whiff rate was actually below average, but his brand new sweeper, absolutely lethal.
An elite 60% whiff rate. That means 60% of the time major league batters swung at it, they completely missed. He essentially replaced his old reliance on pure, overpowering upper 90s velocity with this incredibly deep 7-pitch mix, where his breaking balls are just nasty. A 50% whiff rate on the sinker, solid numbers on the changeup. He learned how to actually pitch rather than just get up there and throw hard.
And the secret sauce to that unhittable sweeper? 2,664. That is the RPM, the revolutions per minute or spin rate on that new sweeper. That is just massive spin. It gives the pitch this incredible horizontal movement across the plate. He only just implemented it shortly before the season, and it instantly graded out as his best pitch. So you combine that elite spin with the mechanical tweaks from the coaches and his restored confidence, and suddenly Walker Buehler is extremely dangerous again. Which leads us to the final chapter, Chapter 5, The Ultimate Revenge. So the rebuilt machine is humming. The calendar flips to June 27th, and the Los Angeles Dodgers come to Petco Park. The stakes are massive here. It's his first time facing his old team in a Padres uniform, the team that didn't trust his hip, the team that let him walk away. If you wondered how Buehler felt about it, this pregame quote leaves zero doubt. I want to kick everyone's ass. I didn't want to lose to the Dodgers. Doc wasn't wrong.
And Doc refers to Dodgers manager Dave Roberts, who told the media leading up to the game that Buehler was probably itching to get a shot at them. Buehler confirmed it right there. He said he had no hard feelings, that throwing the final pitch of the World Series was a fitting end to his LA tenure, but the fierce competitor in him wanted to destroy them, especially as a division rival.
And destroy them, he certainly did. Look at this line. 5.1 innings pitched, only 3 hits allowed, just 1 earned run, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts on a highly efficient 74 pitches. The Padres cruised to a 7-1 victory. He completely stifled one of the most potent, expensive lineups in all of baseball. And he said afterward that his mentality has shifted now. He's no longer trying to throw 120 pitches and heroically own the whole game. He just wants to give his team 5 or 6 elite innings and then hand it over to that super talented Padres bullpen. It's a highly mature, incredibly effective approach.
The craziest part is that he was nearly flawless out there. His lone mistake the entire night was a solo home run by Mookie Betts in the second inning.
Right. Betts took a first pitch offering just over the outstretched glove of the left fielder. But after that, Buehler completely shut down the rest of that lethal Los Angeles lineup. He navigated some real trouble in the 6th, loading the bases, but escaped untouched before handing the game off. He proved he could beat the ghosts of his past on the biggest stage.
And this wasn't just a one-off emotional spike either. 1.99. That is Walker Buehler's staggering ERA over his last 6 starts, leading up to and including that revenge game. It's incredible. After struggling a bit in April while finding his footing, he rebounded hard in May and June. A 1.99 ERA over a 6-start stretch proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that the mechanical tweaks worked, the velocity jump is real, the new sweeper is lethal. He is genuinely pitching at an ace level once again, right in the middle of a heated playoff race for San Diego. Which leaves us with this final, incredibly provocative question. By demanding a physical, offending their World Series hero, and essentially letting him walk, did the Dodgers accidentally engineer their own worst nightmare in the NL West? It's such a fascinating thought. They forced him to find himself again, and he did it with the team built specifically to destroy them. The I-5 rivalry just got a massive injection of drama, and Walker Buehler is standing right in the middle of it, throwing gas.
Absolutely wild. Well, that is going to wrap up this explainer. Thank you so much for joining us as we unpack the data, the mechanical adjustments, and the sheer emotion of this incredible baseball storyline. We will see you next time.